In today's show, the Blazers are headed for a preseason showdown offering a rare glimpse into the future with 2 first-round picks, or at least likely ones, in the building. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making the show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine and tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to talk about a rare exhibition game. The Blazers play a preseason game against Ratiopharm from the German league, from the Bundesliga in Germany. A rare exhibition game that's going to give Blazer fans, Portland fans, a chance to see 2 potential first-round picks. This is an intriguing one because from my read of publicly available information, I do not believe the game is going to be televised. I think you'll be able to listen to it on the Blazers radio broadcast, and I think you'll be able to see it in the arena. But otherwise, an intriguing exhibition game against Ratiopharm against Ulm. Only gonna be available to your eyeballs in person. Maybe you'd want to go to the game. You are listening to Wednesday, October 16th show, and shoot, I'm not making any money from selling tickets, but could be an interesting one to check out, and it could be an interesting one to check out for mainly 2 reasons. Ben Saraf and Noe Essengue, a young Israeli guard and a French forward, multiple positional player in Essengue. Ulm is more of a developmental team. Most teams who play in the highest levels in Europe play adults. It is all about winning, and they play dudes in their 30s, and it is hard for young players to get playing time. But in the sort of mold of Mega in Serbia, Ulm is the team in Germany that has been more developmental focused. It's where Killian Hayes, former top draft pick of the Detroit Pistons, played. It's where Pacom Dadier, who's was the 25th pick in the draft for the Knicks this year, played last season. It's the team where young players can go and get playing time because they're a little more developmental focused. Not entirely. Sometimes it's the highest levels of Europe are not as friendly to young players. They don't have teams like the Blazers playing youngsters for the most part. But Ulm is like a more of a developmental program, and so we're going to see 2 youngsters in Ben Saraf, who I'm going to talk about, and Noe Essengue, who I'll talk about, who are likely first round picks, or at least if they stay in the draft, they choose to come in the draft, could be first round picks and could be top 20 picks, if not higher, in the 2025 draft. A very talented draft class, and you're going to get a chance to see them here. A member of the Blazers told me, Blazers front office told me, that this is the first time a German team's ever played against an NBA team. So a historic night. I did not fact check that. I just believe that whole cloth. So, but in any case, could be an interesting one on Wednesday night. Here are the 2 guys that I will be focusing on. We'll talk about those 2 gentlemen, and then a little bit about what the Blazers we want to see from the actual basketball team that we cover here on Locked On Blazers to close the show in their 3rd exhibition game. Let's start with Ben Saraf. He is an intriguing player who has just made a rapid rise up draft boards. He went from being someone who was like not maybe on the radar to someone who is going to potentially be a top 20 pick, top 15 pick. Like he's skyrocketing after an awesome summer changed his life. He played in the FIBA U18 Eurobasket, and he won MVP. He led the tournament in scoring. He led Israel to a 4th place finish. He had a 40.8 rebound, 3 assist game against Spain in that tournament. Like, he was balling. The shooting was there. He had some nice big steal numbers. He went from a guy who was like, oh, an intriguing young player, to like, yeah, this dude's a first round pick in the 2025 draft. A massive life-changing tournament there in Finland over the summer. I know the Blazers had some representatives that got to check that out and have seen him in person. Real quick, I should have done this before I told you about Saraf, but I have not seen these dudes play. I have watched, I have now, as of Tuesday evening, as I'm recording this, I have watched 20-some minutes of highlights on YouTube, which often don't include a lot of missed shots. I have read Jonathan Gavoni's story on ESPN about the top prospects in the incoming draft, particularly with a focus on international prospects that he published back on October 9th. And I watched Sam Vecini's long breakdowns, about 40-minute long Vecini of The Athletic, but I believe his podcast is independent. Game Theory with Sam Vecini had a long YouTube film breakdown of Ben Saraf's game that he published on October 15th, and I watched all of that, and it's really good, and Sam does a great job. Well, beloved here on Locked On Blazers, one of my favorite draft guys. But the first time I heard about either of these gentlemen in any meaningful way was on September 26th when in my inbox popped the big NBA Big Board newsletter written by friend of the program, Rafael Barlow, who mentioned that both of these dudes, Noe Essengue and Ben Saraf, popped and had made meteoric rises and were going to be first-round picks. So that's what I'm pulling from here. From Rafael, from ESPN, from Sam Vecini. So Saraf is like a 6'5" lefty guard, measured 6'5". Some of you get mad when I call someone who's 6'5", 6'6". I don't think size matters that much. But he's measured 6'5" guard at the FIBA Eurobasket. He's left-handed, and from what I gather from watching Vecini's breakdown, he's pretty left-hand dominant in the way that many young players are. He's 18 right now, but will be 19 on draft night. He's 16th on ESPN's early big board for top prospects in the 2025 shooting. He's like a lottery type guy. He's mostly playing point guard, plays a little off guard and can score a little bit off the ball. His shooting is a question, and his ability to finish with his offhand and play with his offhand, and maybe his defense is in question. Although all the scouting reports I've read say, question his defense, but he had all these steals, but he's been playing good defense in Germany in the Bundesliga. It's like, are we concerned about his defense or not? I also generally think guys his size, it's easier to fake it. I think of someone like, Luka Doncic is a bad example because he's gigantic. He's like huge, 6'7". He's built like a power forward, playing a little bit of point guard. But generally, guys that size, you can get away with it. I think Cade Cunningham comes to mind. It's Dalton Knecht from coming into for the Lakers, rookie from Tennessee. I think Knecht's going to be okay on defense in the league because you just once you're 6'5", 6'6", it's just so much easier to get away with it because you're just a little bigger. It's a little bigger. You can kind of fake the funk. But Saraf, from what I've watched, a really creative passer, someone who can get to his spots with his left hand and then make smart and easy reads. If you know me, you know I love big guards and a big point guards. And at 6'5", a 6'5" lefty who can pass off the bounce. He makes really nice drive, make passes off the bounce, makes good reads in pick and roll, just simple passes. He shot it. He moved up from the Israeli league to the German league, playing with Ulm this year, and he shot it pretty well in the early season running in the Bundesliga. But that's the swing skill for him, is probably shooting. But if you know a little bit about Mike Richman, a big point guard who can't really shoot but is a really creative passer, my dream come true. Obviously, that's maybe different for Saraf because he's trying to end up a lottery pick. But this is a dude who has, you're the MVP of the under-18 Eurobasket tournament, right? Like the big international youth tournament this summer, and you show out. You have a 40-piece against Spain. Then you play in the highest level of the German league, and you're mostly starting at point guard. Although in Sam Vecini's film breakdown, he mentioned that he did come off the bench in their game over the weekend. But he's playing big minutes, has mostly ball in his hands, chief decision maker in a high-level league in Europe. If he's productive, he's going to be a draft pick. What I will be watching when I'm at the game on Wednesday is the offhand stuff. How much does he use his right hand, and what does he do with it? Does he just make simple layups with it? Does he throw any passes with his right hand? Does he make hard dribble moves with his right hand? How does he use his offhand? The shooting, obviously, but that's easy to watch, and it's one game is maybe not the best way to watch someone shooting, right? It's did the ball go in on the 4 shots he took? No, he can't shoot. Yes, he can shoot. So, but it's the offhand stuff and the decision making as a primary playmaker and what he looks like against NBA athletes. That'll be fascinating to me. And if he looks what does he look like on defense? Does he look like a 6'5" dude who you can easily hide, or does he look like a 6'5" dude who's maybe a totally okay defender or somewhere on the either end of those spectrums? But a 6'5" lefty guard who can really make plays, has scored at a high level and in major tournaments, and now playing at a high level in the Bundesliga. This is a pro probably. What level of pro, I think we'll see as we go on, but our first look at him will be my first look at him, and likely yours too. Maybe you've been to Germany here in the early season. Maybe you watched some of the Israeli professional leagues last year. But my first look at him, I will be curious to see what he looks like. But I will say the people I trust, Raphael and Sam, like they think he's a pro first-round pick type. And if they think that, I probably do too. Okay, let's talk about Noe Essengue, the other prospect for Ulm that is definitely worth keeping an eye on. And let me tell you, Raphael Barlow thinks this is a potential top 5 pick type talent. That's high praise coming from Raph. Let's talk about that in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and the place that wants to make it easier for you to have fun watching NFL games. If you want to get in on live betting, FanDuel makes it easy for you. We're approaching the midway point of the NFL season, and maybe you're excited about some wide receivers that got traded earlier this week. Amari Cooper's got a new home. Devontae Adams got a new home and an old quarterback. And listen, say you're watching the games on Thursday or maybe on Sunday or maybe on Monday evening and you want to get on some live bets. Well, FanDuel makes it so easy because they got the latest stats and live play-by-play right on the same page where you place your bet, so you can be an up-to-the-second informed wagerer. Plus, if you're a new user, you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you got to do is place your first $5 bet. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and that's FanDuel.com. All right. So we talked Ben Saraf. I'm excited to see him, like one of my favorite sort of archetypes of players, right? A creative lefty point guard who might struggle to shoot. Be still my heart. Noe Essengue is everyone else's favorite type of player. He's a skinny 6'10" dude who doesn't quite have a position, but has all of the tools to be something special. People are going to be excited about Essengue. He's 17 years old. He'll be 18 on draft night. He's super young. He's mostly playing a bench role for Ulm, but he has some stuff. At Basketball Without Borders, back in February, he measured 6'10" in shoes, 6'9" barefoot. I guess that makes him 6'9", right? 6'9" barefoot, 198 pounds, with a 6'11" wingspan and a 9'3" and 1/4 inch standing reach. He's skinny with long arms. What pops is that he plays both forward spots and really moves. I'm watching highlights, to be clear. And I'm reading about him on ESPN and on Raphael's indispensable newsletter. In that same Basketball Without Borders camp, Essengue, a 35.5-inch max vertical. If you know me, you know that I don't love the underwear Olympic stuff. I don't love the measurables. Some dudes can pop in the gym, but the functional athleticism on the court isn't there. But I will say, when I've watched the highlights, there are moments when Essengue uses that athleticism to block shots, to make steals in breakup passes with steals, to get to the rim and finish with authority, just to fly around, to run, to change ends very quickly, leak out on fast breaks and whatnot at 6'9" with speed and length, long arms. He is a really intriguing player. I think because at 17 he is contributing on a team that's playing in one of the best leagues in Europe, one of the better leagues in Europe. I can't really speak to the relative quality of the Bundesliga, but it's one of the big leagues in Europe, for certainly one of the money leagues in Europe. A 17-year-old contributing off the bench for a team in a major professional league who has the measurables to be something. He's going to get people's attention, and the young French forward, the 17-year-old French forward, certainly has my attention. He jumped up from the German 3rd Division last year to play for Ulm this year. Like I said, Ulm is the sort of rare team that they're specializing, or they're kind of their niche in the world is like they're going to be the team that allows for development. They're going to be the team that gives guys developmental minutes, makes space specifically for the Noe Essengues of the world, right? In a place where maybe he couldn't get that option at this high level in the Bundesliga, couldn't get this action, couldn't get on the court otherwise. But he's been pretty productive. There are questions about his shooting. this is sort of a natural thing with everyone who's going to make the jump to the league. If you aren't like a incredibly talented on-ball creator slasher type, you're going to need to be able to shoot. And even then, your ceiling will be dictated by your ability to shoot. Like increasingly, every prospect you read about, shooting comes up. I think it matters more in my unprofessional scouting belief for a guy like Essengue because he's so skinny, because of the frame. He's under 200 pounds in February. Obviously, it's October now. He might be a little heavier, but he's probably not 40 pounds heavier, right? From the videos I saw preparing for the show. So, like, if you're going to be skinny and you're going to be an athlete, the way that you unlock your ability to be explosive and your ability to do all of those things is a little bit of fear about your shooting. Maybe not like 40% knockdown, excellent, like Ray Allen shooter, right? Rashard Lewis or whatever. But like, do they care about you on the perimeter? If they do, then you can weaponize all of the other things that make you good. So what are those other things that make you good? Well, it's just a tantalizing athletic package. It's the, like I said, the athleticism, the frame, the long arms, 6'9" with long arms, the quick twitch athleticism. You know, when you watch the highlights, it's like jumping passing lanes and stuff. It's the vertical athleticism, and it's the potential defensive versatility. As Jonathan Gavoni wrote for ESPN, like, he has some defensive challenges and he has some rebounding challenges, but that's totally believable because he's a 17-year-old, 200-pound dude playing in a major professional league. So mostly the defense is potential defensive versatility. Okay, this dude is quick and he's bouncy and he's long and he could guard a bunch of different spots if it all pans out, right? Like, that's what you're doing in the draft. You're projecting from 17 to 22. Boy, is that a long journey. But guys usually make their biggest jumps from 17 to maybe 20, from that range, 17 to 22. So if he makes a big jump from 17 to 18 this year, that bodes well for his potential moving forward, and he's in a position where he's going to get to do that. But here's the thing that really excited me preparing for this. I read this like a month ago, but I was saving it. I knew I was going to save it for today's show heading into the game against Ulm. Rafael Barlow, friend of the program, host of Locked On NBA Big Board, the owner of NBA Big Board, and the publisher and writer for the NBA Big Board newsletter that you could subscribe to. I do. It's invaluable. This is back in September. On September 26th, Rafael writes the following sentence. Noe Essengue is a consistent jump shot away from being a potential top 5 pick, in my opinion. That's high praise. That isn't, oh, he's pretty good. Again, ESPN has him 18th, and he's dropped on the ESPN big board from 16 to 18. Like, he's a top 20 pick in ESPN's mind. But what Raf sees early, and Raf was in person at the Adidas Next Generation tournament when Noe Essengue won the MVP with a 33.18 rebound, 2 assists, 3 steal, 4 block performance in the title game. He goes to the Adidas Next Gen tournament and just like dominates in the title game, wins MVP as a 17-year-old. Okay, he's playing with Ulm in that tournament. It's like the international showcase type thing, and he dominates. And Raf writes, says, okay, what a summer for this dude. Meteoric rise. He has all of the tools that if he can shoot well, particularly this year in Germany, as he probably makes the jump next year to the league, he has top 5 in the 2025 draft class potential. Now, he might not hit that, but you're talking about like potentially seeing 2 lottery level picks tomorrow night in Portland. I'm going to want to see it. I'm going to want to see it in person. Essengue and Saraf are 2 really, really fascinating players. I'm excited that the Blazers did this. Obviously, you know, they're a team focused on development. I don't think it's a coincidence that the Blazers invited a German team with a focus on development with 2 potential lottery picks on the roster. Said, "Hey, would you guys want to come check out Portland and play in a preseason game? We'd love to, take a look." So the Blazers will get, also their staff will get a first-hand look and get to have, all the conversations that are valuable when you're doing the behind-the-scenes scout stuff. Okay, that's a lot on 2 young kids who are playing on a German team. Let's talk about the Trailblazers. What do we want to see from them? What am I going to be looking for from the Blazers in their 3rd exhibition game? Let's talk about that to close the show. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Gametime. It's the place for last-minute tickets. It's the app that rewards you for procrastinating. You can get up to 60% off last-minute tickets to whatever you want to go to see. Sports, concerts, comedy, theater when you use the Gametime app. Plus, they got Gametime Picks where they curate selections within whatever venue that you're trying to attend. Say, hey, this is our best bet for saving you tickets. You want to sit right up close? This is a Gametime pick right up close. You want to sit a little further back? Gametime pick a little further back. You want to sit upstairs? Here's the best spots upstairs. That's your Gametime picks. They make it easy for you to save money. Plus, they got seat views. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Say, what's this going to look like? Literally click their 360 view of exactly what it's going to look like. You can take all of the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the redemption code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA. LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. So we talked about the opponent a bunch. What about the old Blazers? What do we want to see? The thing is, there isn't we're not going to see them change the world here, right? They're not going to bust out these 6 new plays that we haven't seen. They might run some sets we haven't seen. I will say from the first game that I watched in person, the most intriguing play I saw was a pick and roll that included an exit screen, kind of a little dummy action, and then an exit screen for Jeremy Grant. The call from Chauncey Billups on the sideline was twist, and from what I could tell, Jabari Walker didn't know the play, and Chauncey Billups was pretty mad at him. But they got him straight. They ran the play correctly. It resulted in a missed shot, but it was good action. It was a high pick and roll between Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton, but on the strong side, the side opposite where the ball, the weak side opposite where the drive went, opposite where the way the screen was set. So Scoot drove to his right hand. Jeremy Grant walked down to the baseline like he was going to set a little cross screen for Jabari Walker, but it was a fake. It was a dummy action. Instead, Jabari Walker came in and set a quick pin down, so a screen where Walker's chest is facing the baseline, pinned down, and Jeremy Grant twisted back up to the top of the key, filling in the space where at the wing where the pick and roll action had just vacated. It engaged 2 defenders on the weak side. It included a basic pick and roll, and it kept the strong side defender in the corner against, I believe it was Toumani Camara on the court at the time, could have been Chris Murray. Will they run twist again? Sure. But will they run a million different things that really change my perception of what this team can be? Probably not, right? You're talking about small stuff. So the small stuff I want to see. I'd love to see Anthony Simons play. I'd love to see him play because I'd love to see what how he helps this team function. One, I want to see him next to Denny, right? How do they play off each other? I thought Denny in his debut against the Kings on Sunday looked like a dude playing on a new team who hadn't played basketball in a while. He looked a little bumpy, but his preseason, he's going to be a little bumpy in preseason as he is a new player playing on a new team with new teammates. But I think the interplay between who's on the ball, who's off the ball with Simons and Denny is really interesting. I think that could be an interesting pairing. I think Denny could be a screener for Simons. I think they could run inverted pick and rolls where Simons screens for Denny and Denny gets a low guy on him. I'm super curious to what that looks like. I'd also love to see DeAndre Ayton play with the Blazers' best pick and roll operator in Simons, and I'd really love to see Anthony Simons and Scoot Henderson share the court for 3-4 minutes. I think if everyone was healthy, the Blazers might avoid that pairing a little bit. I don't think they can't all together just the way the natural. They could probably avoid it a lot, particularly in the second half if they kind of didn't bring one of them back, and the one of them would be Scoot in the fourth quarter, but because Shaedon Sharp's going to likely miss, a handful of games to begin the season, those dudes are going to have to play together some. Whether they start together or whether they decide that pairing isn't good together might, be something they've already decided or something they'll decide based on the final 2 preseason games, but they're going to have to play together a little bit. And there's a chance that they close games together, although I think some of that will be dependent on how Scoot looks and how comfortable they are with Scoot on the floor in quote unquote crunch time. But I'd love to see them play with each other. What does Anfernee Simons look like when he transitions to mostly an off the ball shooting guardy type? What does the defense look like as a shooting guard off ball, like with Anfernee Simons as a two, as the another small guard or two small guards on the court? I want to see the whole interplay. So I'd love to see Ant get out on the court and play. I'd love to see them continue to try to play a little bit faster. And I would say the number one thing I'm looking for the Blazers in this game is, can they get back in transition defense? Goodness gracious. I thought it was pretty bad against the Clippers, but not like horrendous, but not great, like noticeable. Okay, they didn't really get back in transition against the Clippers. Against the Kings, particularly in the first half, it was like pathological. It was really bad. I think some stuff on defense gets chalked up to effort when it's not effort, but like it wasn't like the Kings were doing anything special. It was the Blazers weren't sprinting back. Some of that is stylistic. The Blazers are a crash team, and what I mean by that is they are a team that from what I gathered watching them, there are no rules about who has to get back in transition and who gets to crash the offensive glass. All 5 dudes, if they want to, can crash the glass. And last year, that was the Blazers' biggest strength on offense, was crashing offensive rebounds. So you don't want to take it away from them, right? Like that's going to be probably one of the keys to their offense even being remotely competent, is grabbing your own misses. But if the guy who shoots a above the break 3-pointer stands and watches and doesn't get back and you give up leak outs, that's a problem. And that's effort, right? That's like mental effort. Okay, I need to run. And also like physical effort. I need to sprint. I felt like against the Kings in the first half, the Blazers they were getting thrashed in transition defense. So I'd love to see them improve there, because I think that's just like a simple area of improvement, a weakness you can see on film and correct. And you can correct with effort. You can correct with being a little bit smarter about it. And you can correct with saying like, how about 4 guys crash, and if you're above the break, you don't crash? Like implementing some specific rules so you aren't a terrible transition team on defense. I think that's something I'll be looking for. The interplay of guys, Scoot's continued improvement, Denny's continued improvement, kind of who pops with the young forwards, assuming Jabari Walker is healthy. He's made threes in a very small sample. Does he continue to shoot well? It probably won't be telling, but if he does, it's better than if he misses, right? The Root Pair, who had a good first game and kind of not as good as a second game. Chris Murray, who has shown some obvious improvement, but is still kind of probably trying to crack his way into the rotation. All of that stuff, and Donovan Clingan continuing to get his feet under him. But for me, it's the interplay with Ant with all of the players I'd really love to see, and transition defense. Those are the 2 things I will absolutely be looking for. You're listening to Wednesday show tonight. The Blazers play Ulm in what should be an intriguing preseason game. So Thursday show, we'll recap everything we saw, everything you need to know. I will tell you right here on the program. That's what we do. Locked On Blazers, 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.